After weeks of waiting, the PGA Tour is finally ready to get back to live competition this weekend for the Charles Schwab Challenge taking place in Fort Worth, Texas at the Colonial Country Club. The first 2 days of the event will be broadcast on the Golf Channel, and the second 2 days of the event, the Saturday and Sunday, will be broadcast on CBS with longtime golf announcer Jim Nantz heading up the festivities. It is something I'm looking forward to watching, or at least keeping track of, as I have been a bit of a golf fan for a long time now, but it wasn't always the case. Such is the case with PGA Tour Golf games, a series of games that has been in transition after being in the possession of EA for 24 years. The PGA Tour license is now in the hands of 2K, where we're awaiting PGA Tour 2K21 this August. But let's go back to the very beginning, the genesis, if you will, of PGA Tour Golf video games. That pun is intended because we have PGA Tour Golf for the Sega Genesis, released in 1991 and published by Electronic Arts. Notice that this does not have the EA Sports or EASN designation on it because that was not a thing just yet when this game came out. Now, I did not play the Genesis version originally. I played this on PC at a friend's house just outside of Worcester, Massachusetts. And if I'm being honest, I didn't know anything about golf except for the fact that A, you needed to get the ball in the hole in as few shots as possible. B, you should not put the ball in the sand. And C, you don't put the ball in the water. That is all I knew. I didn't understand how the different clubs worked. I didn't understand how hooks and slices worked. I didn't understand how to read greens or how elevation would affect the flight of the ball or how wind would affect the flight of the ball. These are not things that I thought about back then. All I knew were the very basics. So me playing PGA Tour Golf, which is very much a simulation and not an arcade-style game, I struggled with it. And if I'm being completely honest, I stopped after like 6 holes, and I went and played something else at his house because it just bored me to tears, and I was getting frustrated with it. So that was my first experience with PGA Tour Golf. And it wouldn't be until 3 years later, when I was living with my paternal grandmother, that I would buy the sequel, which came out in 1992, and be interested from that point forward in PGA Tour Golf games. And I have a sealed copy of this, and this means a lot to me because the story I'm going to tell is an emotional one. In 1994, when I moved back in with my paternal grandmother after getting laid off from the phone company, we used to have a little bit of a routine where on the weekends, especially on Sundays, I would go downstairs. I would usually be playing video games otherwise, but I would go downstairs on Sundays and we would watch the final round of whatever golf tournament was on that particular weekend. So we would watch together, and that's when I started to piece together certain things about the sport while developing some interest in some of the players. Now, I didn't understand a lot. It was a very gradual process, but the fact that it was something that my paternal grandmother and I, who were very, very close until she passed in 1996, having something like that brought us together, much like we used to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune together, is something that has emotional attachment that I will never forget. And the fact that I have this particular game sealed to be able to open for you and to be able to show off certainly means a lot. When I was able to find a sealed copy of this, I was excited. I jumped at it. It didn't cost me an arm and a leg, but now we're going to talk about it. We're going to open it for the first time since it came out. This is PGA Tour Golf 2 for the Sega Genesis, released by EA Sports originally in 1992. Now, the core basics of PGA Tour Golf games did not change for the Genesis from PGA Tour Golf to PGA European Tour. The core basics remain the same, a 3-click swing. You press the button once to start the meter going up in terms of power. You hit it again to set the power level, and it's measured in percentages. And then you hit it a third time, coming back to what's called an accuracy zone to try and get it right in the center, right on a line to be able to hit the ball as straight as you could. It took a lot of skill, and especially figuring out the power percentages. I admit, I played PGA Tour Golf 2 with a calculator by my side in figuring out what the distance was from where I was to the hole, so I knew what power percentage I would use to hit it. Very geek of me, I understand, but that's what I did. So when we take a look at the back of the case here, if it's on the tour, it's in the game. So we have that it's in the game quote from EA Sports, which is something we would hear for years to come. This is what the back of the case looks like. I'm sorry about the glare on the screen. Let's go ahead and read together what it says in the back of the case. So more challenges in PGA Tour Golf 2 include 6 courses, 5 tournaments, 60 PGA Tour pros, a skins challenge, more stats so you can track your skins winnings, play with the pros, compete against our 10 featured tour pros, introducing the draw and fade meter for improved ball physics so you could add some dynamics to your ball to get around trees or maybe mess with the wind so that it wasn't going to affect your ball flight as much. Battery backup saves tournaments, players, prize money, and stats. That was a big deal. Not having to write down passwords and be able to have stat tracking in any kind of sports game at this time was incredibly important for sports video game fans like myself. Special shots including chips, punches, and fringe putts, 10 different ball lines, dynamic wind conditions, all new graphics with fully digitized sounds, and an improved automatic caddy. And believe me when I tell you, the dynamic wind is something that we don't see enough of in golf games now. The wind tends to stay pretty static within a couple of miles an hour of each other, but the PGA Tour golf games for the Genesis had dynamic wind gusts that would make sense. So you had to wait sometimes for the wind to back off a little bit just to be able to make the shot that you wanted to make. So this is the only Sega Genesis game with all of the sights, sounds, and shots of the PGA Tour. Now the ultimate big money shootout, a new skins challenge you can play on any course, plus all new digitized sounds. 6 unique TPC courses, plus 5 PGA Tour tournaments. Every hole's designed from the original course blueprints, right down to each hazard, bunker, green, fairway, and rough. The EA Sports coverage follows every bounce of the ball, multiple camera angles, instant replay, and the new hole browser that lets you be the cameraman. Real PGA Tour pros preview each hole with helpful hints and spectacular flyby views. The unique 3D putting grid rotates to expose the subtle curves and contours of each green. Reading the green is so important in this game. Crouch down to read the breaks from a tour pro's perspective. So we're going to open this up and we're going to show you what's inside, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the courses that are in the game. So for the first time since 1992, let's go ahead and get this guy open. I'm going to try and do this so that you can see it being opened. I'm doing this while I watch myself on camera, so it's not always easy. Now that I'm opening this, this means I can't do another take, so I can't screw this up. There we go. Taking the seal off, just like that. And when we open up the case, oh yeah, when we open up the case, this is what you see. There isn't anything extra in there other than the instruction manual, which is here, and the cartridge, which is here. The instruction manual is huge, and we're not going to go over all of it because that would take an episode in and of itself. But when we take a look at the thickness of the manual, it's very thick. It is, in fact, it is 90 plus pages in length. It is black and white. It's not in color, but it feels kind of like a golf score book or like a caddy's book. It's very small, so it's something you can keep by your side if you need to be referring to instructions or play controls, things like that. And inside of here, they go over not only how to play the game, but they also introduce you to the different golfers in the game. Like we have Paul Azinger, we have Freddie Couples here. They're looking very young. Of course, this is 1992. Let's see, Mark O'Meara is here. Joey Sindelar is here. The Walrus, Craig Stadler is here. Fuzzy Zeller is also here. And we also get to take a look at the courses in the game. TPC Sawgrass, this is the first time that I actually played the Sawgrass course, and I'll still never forget playing hole 17 for the first time, that island green, and how many of my shots would go in the water because I simply could not figure the right distance based on the wind speed. It is a skill that I had to develop over the years, and thankfully for this particular series, for the PGA Tour Golf Series, TPC Sawgrass was pretty standard in most games. So that would be the course that would probably be your best because you played it enough from year to year to year. So you understood the layout, you understood some of the tricks to each hole, where you could go for low scores and where you had to play it safe. So that was pretty neat. We also had Ron Barr here, who was the EA Sports or EASN broadcaster at the time, and we have a little bit of a bio about him on the back of the manual. Again, having the manual, especially for the first few rounds, makes a lot of sense. But after a while, the game becomes easy to understand, at least the basics. And if you want to do more advanced things like fades or draws, then you maybe have to reach for the manual. So what would happen is, after my grandmother and I would watch the PGA event that we were watching on Sunday, as soon as it was over and as soon as we had dinner, I would race upstairs. I would pop PGA Tour Golf 2 into my Genesis, and I would play my own round of golf to see if I could measure up against the pros. And it was awesome. And that was really the time that I started to develop my base appreciation for the sport, which would just grow and grow as not only my interest in golf grew, but my interest in sports video games began to really blossom during this time. So this is a game that has significant meaning to me, and I'm very glad to have a brand new copy for myself here in PGA Tour Golf 2. But we are not done. Oh no, we have other games to get to. And now we're going to flash forward to the Game Boy Advance. Yes, there were Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf games for the Game Boy Advance. 2 of them, if I remember correctly. PGA Tour Golf 2004 and the first one, which is Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf. And yes, this game was for somebody. They picked it up for $1.96. I paid a little bit more than that for this, but nevertheless, it is cool to have this game because I don't have it in my collection. So now I have it, and I can play a little bit of golf on the go if I want. Now, at this time, and I've opened up Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf games for both the PlayStation and for the PlayStation 2 in previous episodes of Unsealed. So you have a very basic idea of how these games were set up. Now, of course, there wasn't going to be an analog swing for this game because the Game Boy Advance didn't have an analog stick, so you used the D-pad in order to generate some swing rhythm for the upswing and the downswing, and it worked. It wasn't perfect, but it worked, and it was fun to play. So when we take a look at the back of the case, this is what we see. It is very basic, and again, being the first of the Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf games for the Game Boy Advance, it kind of makes sense just to get it out there. We have a shootout with up to 4 different players, 4-way multi-link, crash the PGA Tour and match skills against 12 of the tour's most talented players, and dynamic in-game weather that affects playing condition. This does have the official Tiger Woods seal as well as the TPC seal, and we'll see if we look at the instruction manual what courses are included. This game does use the Game Boy Advance link cable for what it's worth. So I'm actually going to use the scissors here. Say hi to the scissors, just so I can get a little bit of a head start on opening this. There we go. So put those down. Now, I didn't play a lot of portable golf games. My golf game experience really was for console, playing both the Tiger Woods games and also the Hot Shots golf games as well. I'll just put this over here. All right, so when we open up the box, and we've got a couple of pieces of paperwork here. We have the Game Boy precautions booklet, which we don't have to look at. And here is the manual. And these manuals were obviously very small because they needed to be included in the case. I want to see if they list the courses here. I'm not sure that they do. Interestingly, this game was developed by Rebellion. Rebellion, more known for their first-person shooters, so that's pretty interesting. I did not know that. Let's see. Oh, so there's only one course. It is the TPC Sawgrass. That's interesting. So real PGA Tour golfers, authentic pro course, awesome graphics. That's what it promises. Real-time weather, advanced ball physics, and you can compete against 4 friends. So this is a very basic golf game in and of itself. But again, if we take a look at the box now that we have the glare missing from the seal, you can see the graphics don't look bad. They're not great, but again, this is 2001, so this is pretty early release for the Game Boy Advance. So it had to go up from there, you would think. So we'll put this back inside the case, and we will move on to our next one. There's not really a lot to talk about there, except for the fact that it was nice to have a PGA Tour game to take on the road with you. If you were a console player, you didn't always have the chance to be able to play at home if you were going camping or going to work or whatever. So it was nice to have a golf game to be able to take on the road that had the official PGA Tour license. The next two games are Wii games, and one of these I have played before and one I have not. I'm saving the good one for last. This right here is EA Sports Tiger Woods PGA Tour 09 All Play. In the 2009 sports year, EA rolled out its All Play series for the Wii, trying to make it more family-friendly so that anybody could play from very little to all the way up to grandparents by you taking advantage of the Wii Remote's motion control capabilities. So these games, it was Tiger Woods, NBA Live, FIFA, NCAA football, Madden, all of those games had the All Play designation on them, which made it pretty interesting. When we take a look at the back of the case here, everyone plays, anyone can win, and we have a list of key features here, and you can see the visuals. The visuals look fairly comparable, although not as clean as your Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 games. So let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. And I have been sitting on this one for a little while. I got this at a buy sell trade event at Retro Games Plus in Newington, and I knew I was going to be doing some golf openings at some point, but I've been sitting on it for a long time. Whoop, that's upside down. So when we open up the case here, oh, there's a security seal at the bottom. All right, 1 second. Maybe. I hate these security seals. I understand why they're there, but I did not really play PGA Tour golf games on the Wii, if I'm being honest. It wasn't until I kind of rediscovered the Wii in 2015 that I started to get interested at all. So when we open up the case, it's very basic. We have the instruction manual here, and we have the disc here. It's not very colorful. I don't think the instruction manual is in color either, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And it's very, very brief. That's pretty much what you see. It doesn't list the courses, I don't think. No. There's a performance coach. That's when Hank Haney was showing you how to swing a golf club back when Hank Haney and Tiger were on speaking terms. Let's see if it lists the courses on the back of the case here. I didn't even take a look at the key features. So EA Sports All Play, which is an all-new controller system that allows golfers of all skill levels to play on an even playing field, removing the guesswork as the game shows you exactly where your ball will travel before every shot. All-new golf party mode, battle your friends in 15 fun and challenging mini-games. Mini-games were a Wii thing. Pretty much every Wii game had some kind of mini-game compilation in it, so that's no different here. You could play the game online. Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore, but you could back then. For the first time on the Wii, compete in a live foursome at the same time, and the time it takes to play a single-player round. So that's kind of cool. So Hank Haney, like I said, maximize your swing. Get the most out of every shot with the new 1-to-1 swing and club tuner. And the new courses and golfers. So the Gary Player Country Club in South Africa, Wentworth Country Club in England, and more. While you play against international stars such as Sari Pak, Darren Clark, and others. Tiger 09, when I played it for the Xbox 360, pretty good game. I liked the introduction of Hank Haney. Some people looked at the transition from Tiger Woods 08 to 09 as being a step backwards because 08 had things like the shot confidence meter and was more simulation aspected. This kind of took its foot off the gas a little bit and let more casual players play, and I really appreciate that. Now, I don't know much about this. It does use the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck controller, but this is before the Wii Motion Plus, so you didn't have the accuracy that the Wii Motion Plus would provide. That came about with Tiger Woods PGA Tour 10, which came out the following year. So this is pretty interesting. I do want to spend some time with this at some point down the line, maybe some downtime this summer when I'm in the bedroom. I can go ahead and play that. That's where all of the retro systems are, right across the hall from me. And at long last, I know we're 20 minutes in, but I've saved the best for last here. This is the very last PGA Tour golf game to be released for the Nintendo Wii. Although there were several PGA Tour golf games released for the Xbox 360 and PS3 afterwards, this was the last one for the Wii. And it is a game that is now as of when I'm saying this, that brand new runs over $90. I got this for $45, and I'm going to be opening this up because it's awesome. This is the Masters Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12, featuring 23 courses. This game, when it came out, and I did not get the Wii version originally, I got the Xbox 360 version originally, playing at Augusta National for the first time meant so much to any golf fan, because Augusta National was not widely available on a lot of golf games, and it was certainly not available in any PGA Tour game. And by this point, because this was released in 2011, this is 20 years after PGA Tour Golf debuted, and we still didn't have Augusta National until this very game. And unfortunately, this is the last Wii game that came out. Now, by this time, the Wii Motion Plus was a thing and was being used actively, and this has everything you could want for a Wii golf game. It has great presentation. It has Jim Nantz doing the commentary. It has Augusta National along with a bunch of other courses. Plus, it has some other extra things to do, like disc golf and some other things to keep less serious players interested. So this is a great family game. This was a great Father's Day gift if you were getting a present for that special father in your life or a grandfather in your life. This would be a great gift to give. The road to the Masters is what the back of the case promises. That's what the graphics look like. The visuals for Wii look pretty good. They're not quite as smooth as they were on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, but again, the Wii was like a half a generation behind in terms of hardware strength and speed. So that kind of thing was to be forgiven. When we take a look at the back of the case here, you're competing for the green jacket. Again, very big deal because this was the first time we had done it. Rise from amateur to world number 1 by playing through the career mode, which is something I did. I spent hours and hours and hours playing this on the Xbox 360. Playing strategize with a caddy. Your caddy was now an instrumental part of your game and would constantly give you advice in terms of where to drive the ball, where your putt's going to go, and more. That was a big deal. Improve your swing with the Wii Balance Board. So now when you're playing with the Wii Motion Plus, you can also play with the Wii Balance Board if you have that for the ultimate in terms of golf simulation, in terms of motion controls. It was a pretty big deal. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get this open. There goes that $90. All right. So when we take the seal off and we open the case, this is what you see. You have the Masters disc in white and green, and you also have a coupon for Golf Digest, which is no good. It expired March 31st, 2012, so that's old. And you have the instruction manual. The instruction manual, again, is in black and white, and it's also in dual languages in both English and French. It has a laundry list of control options, of course, and the more you play it, the more you'll understand. The good thing about Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12 is that the range of difficulty levels, anyone can play this. You don't really have to worry too much about the Wii Motion Plus getting in the way if you play on some of the less difficult settings. But when playing in some of the expert settings, the Wii Motion Plus becomes instrumental to whether your shot is going to go where you want it to go, whether it's going to go left or right. So that's pretty important to keep in mind. I do want to see if they list the courses. I don't think they do. Road to the Masters is here, talking about some instant challenges. The President's Cup is here. That's brand new. Practice range. You have different party games. Disc golf, like I said. Mini golf returns. The golf party. And then there are other specific mini games that they don't really list. There was a full online play option, which unfortunately is no longer a thing now that Nintendo's Wi-Fi connection is no longer a thing. But 23 courses. I mean, check that out. 23. This is, for Wii owners, the golf game to own. And there's a reason why this game, even in an open state, if you have it complete, is over $40 now. And it's because if you own a Wii, and a lot more people have been buying Wii systems due to the current health pandemic or the viral pandemic that's going on. If you have a Wii and you have a Motion Plus controller, or even if you don't, I mean, this is the game to have if you're a golf fan. And being able to relive or fantasize about your Masters moment is such a big deal, and a reason why I was very excited to find this brand new. And now I have a brand new copy to play, which means that my other copy is probably going to be going up for sale sometime in the not too distant future. Unfortunately for the PGA Tour games, after 12 I think was one of the heights of the series. PGA Tour 13 and 14 kind of degraded in quality. It was no longer available for the Wii. It was available only for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And then when it came time for the PS4 and for the Xbox One, Tiger Woods was out of the picture due to some issues in his personal life that we all know about. And Rory McIlroy was brought in to be the poster athlete for that game. They went to the Frostbite graphics system, and they lost the rights to Augusta National, so Augusta was no longer there. And the game didn't sell very well, and consequently EA gave up the license after 24 years, and it would sit kind of on hiatus until HB Studios and 2K Sports picked up the license with the Golf Club 2 and now for PGA Tour 2K21, which will be available in August. I've been playing a little bit of the Golf Club 2, and while I didn't like the game initially, it's begun to grow on me a little bit, so I'll be interested to see how the brand new PGA Tour 2K21 plays when it lands in August. So that's a look at the PGA Tour games. I've had a blast opening these games brand new. I hope that you've had some fun watching me open these and listening to my stories and my experiences with these games. And until the next time, my friends, please take care of yourselves and each other. And until the next time, take care.